Welcome. We're going to keep talking about the topics of the last several videos. Sorry that I do that a lot. It's going to keep happening. I'll try to be a little controlled. Maybe beat myself. Get it ready. Okay. It's got some Hawaiian music. So last episode, maybe we can go. Oops. What was that? No one knows. Who knows? Anyway, so last episode we were talking about here, I added some stuff. Okay, maybe that'll help. Sorry. Okay. So, we have been talking about the flood currents and building into a more global picture of things. And recently we came across some realizations in the last couple episodes, so hopefully you remember them and saw those episodes, because there's going to be some interesting finds that we make here. I'm pretty excited to share. We've found some evidence for what I was talking about in the last episode. So stoked. So, one thing I noticed before we get to that, I drew it here, so let's just go ahead and put it up here. So, in the previous episodes, we talked about this current, this blue current. Maybe I'll just draw some. This blue current. And how it offshoots into these eddies. And probably also offshoots down here. I would guess. I haven't actually... I'm not sure which way this opens. If it goes this way, it might be not that, but... And then we've got this bottom current, this red down here, going across in the opposite direction, centered on Antarctica, of an eddy though. So an eddy centered on Antarctica, an eddy centered at what would become the North Pole. That ended up being like the two dominant eddies that then were going in opposition to one another. One going west, one going east. And then we got all these currents, but then I noticed, like I was mentioning, this generally goes this way. Through, and contributes to this. So the beam of water that was going into Atlantis continued this way. I believe it literally right here was right there, basically, before this kind of spread out, as we'll get to some details. Like it wasn't as large. So some of these areas did not exist. Like basically a wedge was formed in here that widened this area, but took Atlantis from over here and moved it this way, the location that it was in, while shoving Atlantis by this current going into it to shove it over here. But when it did that, it was over here essentially. and then it continued down this way is what I'm getting at. And then here, if you notice, is generally let's say, I was gonna say it's where the Caribbean begins, but let's look at this map. Might be where Florida begins. Just a little different. Where this like sudden abruptly goes this way has a relationship across here. Maybe an eddy that was forming here, like had a larger formation too. Current coming off of here. Although it looks like it was going this way and shoved it over. Essentially, what I'm thinking is that went more directly into South America, essentially. So that this path went from Atlantis along the boundary between North America, or the Rencha, and Africa, cut across that portion, although it probably didn't even cut across initially. The current running into Atlantis probably just kept going like a river, but over time cut into the actual crust here, and then it ran into South America somewhere around here and started to bend. But why did it bend? And then it goes over this way. And then the last episode, I was like, it's kind of weird. I would expect it to do something else. And I kind of thought about it a bit. And I noticed, essentially, this red portion here is going towards this eddy here. So there's an eddy here going this way around. Generally like a eddy there, but it's going towards it this way along this purple towards its center, which is effectively its position of greatest resistance, because it's an eddy, so its width is the greatest across directly at the nucleus. If it's in line with the center, then it's the greatest distance across, and the system provides the most resistance. So effectively, my thought is it literally deflects it over off of this system, and it goes this way off of this system, while when this here and over here are actually adjacent. So it's running into literally an eddy here, and then turning along this path when they're adjacent, wherever exactly. Like over here, it begins turning when it reaches South America. At which point, it goes over to this eddy, and if we look, not along this boundary, but at where the path actually is, it points at the center here, like going across, and then center with a outer ring here, generally here. So there's another eddy that was generally here with a nucleus region here, and it's as if current from over here ran into this eddy, deflected off of it, went around. There's probably another eddy generally over here that's occupying like this area, creating this like tab extension here, where there's generally an eddy somewhere centered like there, maybe. It's hard to see in here though. then it deflects off there, goes that way, runs into this other eddy, which it just possibly interacts with currents over here in ways, but effectively cannot propagate through it and just bounces off it sideways. Goes down, like through this area, generally just going down towards the South Pole, like propagating southward generally. Is this I don't know if it's exactly south. It's definitely moving back and forth. Probably dependent on the exact circumstances. I think there's like a large eddy here, but possibly like another eddy here, centered here. That's generally creating like a double pair here, so it's like two systems where this one has like an ammonite end tail portion. Where is this? Kind of like that, doing like this. Over along this boundary. So two eddies that make up like the bulk of South America that were conjoined. Like this one goes into this eddy to basically to its center, and this one goes into this eddy basically to its center. So their centers were conjoined by their outer rings reaching their centers. It's probably some kind of like shared electron chemical bond thing of that nature that would exemplify in some way. But so there's two systems, and then there's one here, one opposite to it. That this one actually extends into, like, it goes around here generally. This wraps around up here, over that way. But then it goes down and across here. So like this segment spanning to this corner. So this corner, generally like there, this segment. That maybe doesn't go to the center, but goes to the outer ring. So it's like they were connected energetically at the outer edge, but not at the inner nucleus. This did not reach to this nucleus, and vice versa. So they then separated in the process. There's another eddy down here connecting these. Probably some other smaller type features like conjoining them as well based on just the terrain. Also of interest, the place that I was told to look at for, there it is, archaeology finds. What about this place? This is why, mind you, I looked into it. Archaeologists can have a bachelor's of science degree where they might have some science background besides archaeology-based science. Or they can have a bachelor's of arts degree where they probably don't have any science, basically. So they're pretty much unprepared for a circumstance where someone argues one of their details that they like attribute. Oh, this is what we this archaeological site. When someone comes along and says that's geological, I don't know all the details yet, but I just see all the telltale signs. Look at its position. Look at where the site is. Notice it's like a nook in here. Let's keep going out though. It's at the very edge of this circle's very edge right here. Already a little odd. It's at the edge like that, and then not only is it at the edge, it's in this little nook that seems to like protrude from the circle. Secondly odd. Thirdly odd. I've yet to see anything that's actually proven like these things. I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on with all the details. All I've really like said, okay, maybe this right here might be geological. Like look at the terrain it's in. I've seen that before, you know, like the Carolina Bays. Carolina Bay. Same shape right there. Just dot, 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 connected around. You got a Carolina Bay maybe up there. Like right there. I can subtly see across there. And then across there it looks subtly, and there. I mean, and then that little river path there, that's the only place along the whole way, really. There's maybe one there. One there, but that there is one like along the path itself. Carolina Bay, and then just a bunch of Carolina Bays in that same shape. And then if we look at Sage Wall, like it's very blocky. I don't know if we're in Sage Wall area. It's somewhere like over here, like by the reindeer. Like the terrain basically has Sage Wall-esque characteristics. If you know what I'm talking about, Sage Wall. In Montana. Let's see. Sage Wall, Montana. This one should get us there. Okay, yeah, this general area. Okay. Yeah, by the nose of the reindeer thing. That's how I find it. By the nose of the reindeer thing. Okay, let's get back to it. So... then these stayed conjoined, so it's not like they necessarily break apart if they're not overlapping the nucleus. These ones also have overlapping to the nucleus, to the Michigan centered eddy, where the Hudson Bay goes to its nucleus pretty much. I believe it also goes past it though. Definitely goes in layers, but they're a different scale. These are more the same scale. Maybe let's add that second one there as well. Just gonna add it, whatever. Possibly going like this then, like the same direction here. That would kind of make sense for why this would be like so prevalent. Which would probably encourage a path through, basically. But this did, I believe, go over here too. Anyway, I don't want to get too lost on the little details I'm not too concerned with. Then it turns it, though, off of this system. So it runs into this system and deflects it. So it's then goes down where it runs into this right eastward propagating current that is actually extending to basically the boundary at a time to a boundary where when this reaches that boundary, it runs into that current and joins it, which physically turns it this way. So if we look at the Earth, as it goes down, as it gets closer to around here, especially here, it starts to bend. And if you notice, there's the Scotia arc here, but past the Scotia arc, notice there's like a upper portion and a bottom portion and an arc. Upper portion, dot 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 dot, arc, bottom portion. So there's like a large arc and a small arc. So it kind of did two arcs that overlap one another here in the structure. It's pretty cool. But that means that the current going through here actually also went through over like this far too. So it essentially extended the boundary of how far that really was going to really be like all the way, this red current, to really be all the way up here. So that's then as this comes down, it bends it basically, which then it gets it to join it, essentially. Although it's probably a little more complex, which might be why it's kind of a little different than over here. And over here. Okay. But so then it goes this way. And what's interesting is it goes kind of up. Like it doesn't just wrap around Antarctica. Like it's kind of over here in this area, and then it goes across here, and then continues through there. Like if we look at this way up here to here, and then this way over here, down this way over here, over here. Some of it goes up that way, but also this way. Although interesting, it does seem to go that way, so maybe it almost at some point is deflected off of that current off of North America. Off of North America. And then it goes up that way at that point. So like there's a current going in this way, cutting through here pretty much, underneath though. Underneath or over? Over. Is it going over? Literally flowing atop here? And then later on doing that? Or going under and supporting underneath this? I feel like it's going physically underneath and through. Pressure pushing water just through the solid rock pretty much. To go through, and then it transports materials like shallograms. Literally. But then over here it goes up, and the reason it goes up is because really what it's doing here is what it, like here it's cutting between South America and Africa. And then down here, it reaches a point where it reaches Antarctica, so it starts cutting in between Antarctica and Africa. But then over here, maybe here, I drew it like this. I drew it that it goes this way, and then in my mind, India was over here basically. Oops, I should probably not draw like that. Like, it was over here, like folded in, and then this goes along Africa and along India, effectively, to reach like this point, and cuts across there. But then this goes through this way and cuts across and basically shoves India that way as part of the process of it. Essentially, when this current going that way and it moves to phase 2, then this current going through this way swings India upward, but also manages to break through this way, maybe, and then it essentially goes to where this current is and stops its motion. Like, it doesn't keep going this way because there's a pressure over here, and so instead this current is the path that like propagates, and it goes this way, mind you. Like, as it like reaches this point, it's building Kerguelen or whatever. What is this thing? Kerguelen Plateau Geological Age Formation something. 130. So this is probably happening as like a wedge to building up underneath the continents to uplift them as it breaks them apart at a boundary. So this is forming there. I'm not sure if it makes... I think it makes sense that India could have been like inside of this thing. And this cut literally ran up all the way to here, basically. So when this cut reached here, it was actually reaching all the way over here, relative to the continental crust. At which point, the current shoved through, moving India away, and that current like met it at that position, basically. Maybe I'm not sure if that went on the right side of India. But then continues this current, though, that comes out this way. So it seems like current goes this way, and it goes down here, goes over here, goes through this way, cross, and goes back to where we began. So we got that going on. And then phase 1, phase 2, but I found some stuff, so let's look at it real quick. Tethian domain. Tethian domain. Images. So here's one image that we just saw. Another. Here's one. Trying to find the ones. Ooh. Now, mind you. Okay, let's real quick before I do this. Let's go through these images. So, here's basically what I was getting at. Was when it cuts through, it cuts over through this way to here. At which point, this current starts to go through this way and basically shoves this way. Or, wait, sorry, let's go back. This goes through here in counter opposition to going this way. Oops. Uh-oh. Let's not draw this on a layer. Let's add a layer. Draw it there. Okay. A current basically comes through this way and stops around here. And the reason that is because that other current, which unfortunately, like, it's effectively coming across this way into the Himalayas, but it's going this way, where the Indonesian archipelago was at, attached to Australia. So these were attached, like I've drawn them in the past, with Antarctica down here. But then this current and this current are in opposition, and it leads to a current that was going, it's so hard to like do this on this map as it is, but going across this way, doing some things where I guess one of the things it does is it branches off down here and starts going this way instead, because this current is essentially forcing it to go around it, but this current is kind of pushing the boundary of all of this. So in order to go around it, this current above Africa, going basically through the Mediterranean eastward, it had to go under Australia from Africa. So it went this way and across, and once it got over there, it got to a location that had been like this. So, like, this is how they generally began, in terms of, like, not the area over here. None of, like, this area is too out of the focus. It's because of it not being the right radius. It's not easy to, like, map it all in one image like this. But I'm trying to put it into one image like this. So, essentially, the boundary of Asia was some boundary that some portion of it did not exist pre-Cambrian. What exactly didn't exist pre-Cambrian we'll get into in as we go forward here, at some things I was looking at, but essentially this Papua New Guinea was generally shoved up, like we were talking about before, with this corner at the North Pole of the time, and then this was moved. This portion was physically rotated. All of this, like, what they shoved it out, kind of like unfolded it to a point where Papua New Guinea reattached down at Baja, California. Reattached down there. And so then the early Pacific Ocean began to open at that point. But, like, this was a budding... Oops. I should probably not have drawn all this either. Crap. Uh-oh. But this was a budding... Not the Himalayas, but the region of landmass that would effectively lead to the Himalayas. Abutting it, and the current was going through this area into the, but like, even though I'm drawing it here, into this area relative to Australia, into that area. And mind you, like, notice this thing. What I'm saying is it was like this, where India was basically down there. So notice India, corner of Australia. Check this out. What's up with that? What is up with that? This is what I'm saying right here. Just squish together a bit. Where it's shoved up in there. And this, I believe it was physically above here. We'll see. But let's go through some details now. Really, this is critical. If I can find a good source. It says, no, not that one. That one's fine probably, but I need more general area. Precambrian, so South China block. But notice, like, all of this Phanerozoic. Where is this? Oh, there's one map that I found that was so good at showing what we've been talking about. I don't know why I'm not finding it here. Cratons, the orange, are pretty much pre-existing when the Earth expanded, but then, like, this is a major flow path that we've talked about here. I don't know if this is the map that I was looking for. Let's see. What else we got? This one. This one. Lithospheric thinning in Eastern Asia constrains evolution and tests of models. North China Craton is the only place currently recognized where an Archean craton developed a continental root in the Archean and subsequently lost half of that root in younger tectonism. In this volume, various authors have advanced different models of root loss and provided geological, geophysical, and geochemical data that help constrain the geometry and timing of root loss. Okay. Let's keep reading, actually. This is kind of interesting topic. That's probably really related to what we're talking about, so let's see. Root loss, you say? With current data, there are several equally plausible possibilities that require further data collection for testing. There are several possible tectonic triggers that may have caused half the root to be lost, acting either separately or together. These include collisional, extensional, plume-related, fluid weakening, spontaneous, and more complex hybrid mechanisms. We also do not know why only the eastern half of the root was lost, and not the root from beneath the whole craton. One tantalizing idea is that the root grew independently, but tectonic underplating of subducted buoyant oceanic lithosphere beneath the previously separate eastern and western halves of the craton by 2.5 billion with modification at 1.8 billion. But tecton... I don't know. This might be younger, might still be like 1.8 billion. I don't know. Precambrian crust Archeon. So orange or yellow and brown pre-existing when the Earth expanded, like before the Earth expanded. Everything else, either, I mean, with some openness for the realization this is not absolutely every detail put into this. Like this is basically a approximation of the details. Probably a very good one, which is why we're looking at it, but still an approximation. So what do we see though? Do you see what I see? Let's go back over here and here and get rid of this jumbled mess. Maybe turn on some of these other jumbled messes. Where are they at? Whoa. This band across. This blue path that I'm now drawing red. And then the purple off of it. I guess I'll put it on the left side here. It's literally... I mean, I drew this one below, although maybe, I was thinking, so maybe this might actually add some, like, clarity, interestingly. Like, maybe, because there's this lack of, like, Cambrian crust. All this white, all the white is Cambrian crust generally. So that would mean, like, this entire wedge here is generally from the flood expanding a wedge here, which is why Atlantis is actually like, or maybe I might have done that even a little too loose. Let's go like there, there. Atlantis was down there basically, like these were together. So a wedge opened in this area though, like right there, just a wedge that then did not extend into North America, making Europe the portion of Europe that has Cambrian crust there. But then this wedge was basically from the current coming off of North America. Guess we can look at it more directly, sorry. What is this dude doing? Like the eddy on Hudson Bay leading to a current coming out of it that went across here, and some of it seems went across this way. And some of it seems went over top this area, and then also with this, pushing into it, went down this way. So notice what we're doing though. Pushing Australia away, opening that space where it's next to North America along Papua New Guinea, rotate it to reattach it where the Papua New Guinea was up here, and it just rotated it to reattach it by this cross current. Detaching it though from this area, like it was attached here, it moves it over, detaches it, possibly even takes some material and like shifts it over this way, like the mass of the craton is probably shifted from some other location of all this, like just getting moved to some edge. But then Australia's over there, the Philippines, Sulawesi, all the islands, but Borneo gets left behind over here, attached to India. And then in the second phase, when this goes through this way, it leads to, from the phase 2 segment, it leads to this portion, which then leads India to swing in here. And I guess it even, possibly this current coming down shoves into this current as well to lead to a current coming out this way, which then pushes more directly into this other current, which basically at some point shifts it over to here. Like the balances of this other current coming in from over here and here. There's 3 currents coming in these ways. There's also other pressures down here that are probably pushing generally up, like this current going this way that was going along the boundary, although like probably a lot of current here around this, more so with like a nucleus maybe. I don't know. But ultimately going around it to a point where it formed that current though that went up this way to apply another current going into this area, so that there's this way basically from North America, from the North Pole directly down in that through this region, along this boundary from the Antarctica, pushing upward. And then from over here, going this way, possibly another current, like, going through here. Yeah, which then went through here once it rotated. Once it rotated, that current went through here, which then ended up going basically probably generally that way, based on that Australia, like this position here was over here and over here, so it's probably effectively flowing in across this way into Australia this way, which is then going over into that location, also adding another pressure point to that location where currents are flowing towards that location from all directions. And like, what do? We gotta, like, they shift one of them gets overwhelmed, and the others like release their pressure because they were building up pressure as they all went there, and this one just gets overwhelmed because it's really just a current coming off this way. And there's also current going this way along this boundary that goes that way and then back down this way. Sorry, I know this is a jumbled mess. But we see evidence. People like, this dude just makes shit up. Isn't it weird that there's that connection from India? Like, it literally connects, or from the Himalayas or whatever. Oops. From here through down to here. And there's this connection through across. Although it does seem like I misinterpreted the flow. In terms of going underneath it. Although maybe it did, and just the craton supported it, because that was like where the doom-shaped storm was and all the things going on with the main eddy in that location where the vortex was centered. The what now? Oh. So... the Tethy sides. Almost Tethy slides. I almost feel like I have to look at the Earth's magnetic anomaly map with all these currents in mind again and see if it's able to be explained all in the one angle, all with one angle of these overcurrents. Because essentially current, it would mean current went off of North America and went this way. Went through here, maybe went this way. Across here, like it went this way across here. And then got pushed out by this cursed magnetic anomaly maybe to go underneath it. To go down here. Instead, and went down to below to go off below here. It's definitely throughout currents. It's not like the surface is impermeable. These are water getting pushed into the surface and flowing in the layers. Even when it reaches the top, as we're looking at now. And has an influence on the magnetic anomaly map in some ways, but not like fully. It's not like a 1-to-1, that's my point. The currents on the surface are not a one-to-one with the magnetic anomaly map, but they're certainly related in many ways. Okay. Yeah, so that's cool. Let's just look a little bit. I'm gonna stop here. Let's just look at this a little bit more. Another map, same general thing though. It looks almost like a current went across here, through here, and squeezed through here, and squeezed through here, while another current ran into that current and deflected off it and went this way. And essentially eddied here. Definitely part of it eddied. Maybe it also went off that way, but eddied. Also went off that way. Eddy. Current going through. I mean, that's one of the eddies we got drawn, right? Oh my, the way it's curved, like I have it drawn like an eddy would do. Down, over, over, down, and then it starts to go up. And then this boundary here, and really this boundary here. And then like a nucleus. Eddy around this. Current down this way. That just kind of separated these, cut across between them, and eddy. I think this eddy actually is going this way. No, this way. Unsure. I might be mistaken with all of them going this way off the top. That just would be, if it was true, it would be like the most just conveniently like, look. If it wasn't true, it wouldn't really be like, okay, well, there's more complexities, let's see. I just looked for the simplest thing because I was hoping it would be that way, because then I could be like, boom, but now I gave you an option to be like, what about this? And I'm like, ah, shit. Here we go again. I'm not completely sure this one's direction. It seems like it would go with this, but it also seems like if current's coming off here, go this way. So it could go this way with this one. Like, this is still kind of going off of here. It's just going sooner, so it doesn't really have to go this way. I think I just thought it kind of had to, but maybe not. Because I'm thinking it like feeds current off of the side based on this. This here does not match with the current coming this way very well. It matches more in terms of if an eddy is going this way. But if an eddy is going the other way, and it's like running into the counter current, then it kind of would be pushed out this way to create an extensional segment then it would match. So it probably is going counterclockwise, this eddy. Which would make sense because it's coming through here, probably. Where we really see flow in the magnetic anomaly maps here. Flow through in these huge bands bending there. Which we pretty much see when we look at this map we were just looking at. Coming through bending. Caricum. I wonder if Caricum is where this Turkmenistan. I believe that's what that is. Caricum Craton. Caricum Craton. Geology. Sure. $40, $70, thereabouts. Let's go right here, see if that's there. 40, 70. There. Maybe here. Let's see. Let's see if it gives Turkmenistan. Oh. Oh. We Gucci. So that craton is ended up being just used, shaped physically to redirect the current around it. Here, like it literally turned a chunk of the pre-existing Earth into a wedge to redirect the current in this location. And then interestingly, Tarim Basin is a craton. I don't know what to make of that. So I was thinking maybe because of what Tarim Basin is basically this area was folded in here maybe before the Earth started to expand. The pre-existing crust of Tarim, whatever exactly, was folded in, and then it started to be overlain by materials that were these materials. Specifically, the material of this region that then formed atop Tarim, though. Atop this region, literally formed atop it. And served as a container for this to hold pressure. Because it kind of makes sense to me that this happened underneath pressure, like this shallogram feature where current's coming through this way across here, that is physically pushing into a landmass that's on top of this material. And as it's pushing in, it's literally getting into the underlayer and shaping it into an ammonite eddy shape. And then it removes the overlayer and shoves it over here, leaving behind the exposed Tarim Basin formation. Okay, dudes. Till next time. I know it's not like I looked at technical papers through and through, but we did find some pretty strong evidence. Like this map does not have to align at all with this map. It doesn't. Notice how when I was talking, it's based on the physical structure of the earth and interpreting current flows based on the structure of the earth. It's got nothing to do with where the cratons are, and yet it's got everything to do with where the cratons are. Ain't that something? See you next time. Peace.